Cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Welcome to the Sovereign Soul Show podcast, a program that stands for love, levity, and liberty, because boy, right now, love is the most powerful force in the universe, and levity, we all need this right now, don't we? Right? And that is just a great way to get through life, isn't it? And to enjoy the opportunity to look at situations and with emotional intelligence, just find the humor in that and continue moving forward. The show today is basically what I'm going to do is start with Canada, kind of expand it worldwide, what's going on, the economy, and some other things right now. And then likely have a few great tips, as well as memes, hilarious memes, that you get to in store for the next 20, 25 minutes as we go here. And this is myself directly to you for you guys, and sharing with you incredible information that I just come across and also get sent to me, which is not being reported for the most part, or even at all in the mainstream media, because we've seen in many countries that the mainstream media, since it's privately corporation owned, and as a result of that, there's a certain narrative that gets pushed and a lot of other stuff that does not. So there's a lot of independent news sources, citizen journalists, citizen soldiers, and digital warriors. And thank you if you're one of those and doing your part to just wake up humanity in this great awakening process. All right, so what is it that's going on right now? We have just recently seen a little article that has come out here about Justin Bieber starting in Canada, right? And here's the thing, he canceled his world tour, and it says it reveals his face is paralyzed with a rare virus in parentheses. Now, here's the thing, Justin's wife got a blood clot in the brain. It was reported not long ago, and now he is having symptoms of facial paralysis, right? Now, how does all this happen? You need to use your discernment here. How is it that all of a sudden two people born to different parents, right? And husband and wife, all of a sudden they've got these issues, blood clot in the brain, and they're young, right? In late 20s. And I think Biebs now is 33 or so. Here's the quick video on that he posted, but you can see what is going on. So anyways, these are a couple of things to be mindful of and aware of. And we're seeing the medical reports, and we'll have one of our specialists coming on, a guest in the next week, talking about this, especially the incredible increase in these types of injuries and syndromes that are happening, especially among our youth these days. Now, I mean, he's 33, so he's obviously an adult at this point in time, but we're seeing a lot more happen down with our youth. And in fact, I was watching interviews with the CEO of a major American, I don't recall the name right now, but you could find this online, CEO of a major American reinsurance company, and those are companies that insure the insurers. And he reported there's a 5,000% increase in mortality for their policyholders in the last 12 months. This was last week. He was on a Zoom with Rainer Fuellmich, who is one of the lead attorneys in processing the Nuremberg 2.0 crimes. And he was under, I'm not sure if that was deposition, but they were talking on a Zoom, and it was recorded and published for everybody to see. So a 5,000% increase in mortality rates that his reinsurance company is seeing across all their policyholders in just a 12-month period of time. It's never happened before. All right, moving along in Canada, great action for Canada, wonderful nonprofit. I encourage any of you to donate what you do have, even just prayers. One of the amazing things that they've had is in August 2021, they took action against in the Supreme Court of British Columbia, took action against the provincial government in British Columbia, as well as the federal government regime in Canada for the illegal mandates. They're unconstitutional, right? It's not law, right? But they've forced everybody to close their businesses. Get this. Now we're seeing the injuries from those products going up. And I'm speaking in code here because if we're going to have this live on a certain platform outside of Rumble, Rumble's full on free speech. With that censorship extreme, I need to use certain code words. So we get it out there. And then here's Tanya Gaw. So here is, again, another citizen hero who filed the action with attorney Rocco Galati, who mysteriously in December 2021, mysteriously slipped into a coma and has been injured and not able to travel to Vancouver, BC from his place in Ontario as this amazing human rights, civil rights attorney in Canada. So they prosecuted, I'll show you the application here on record against, you can see here, the Queen, right, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the Chief Public Health Officer Theresa Tam, Bonnie Henry, who is the head of provincial health in British Columbia, who sets, the policy, so to speak, Premier John Hogren, the Premier of British Columbia. For you, those of you who are Americans, that's like having your governor, right? So that's what we've got. And a whole bunch of other ones, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, the Parliamentary Secretary for Senior Services, Long-Term Care, BC Ferry Service, Vancouver Island Health Authority, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, right? And the Attorney General of Canada. They're supposed to be protecting people. Like in the United States, you have the federal FBI that are to be protecting on the constitutional rights of American citizens under that corporation. Well, and then also under the Colorado, for example, or the Washington state, under the state, you have the sheriffs that are to be protecting their people. So this was filed against the RCMP, the Attorney General of Canada, CBC Broadcasting Corporation, which is, the state-funded arm for Canada. And I grew up on that, right? Well, now they've taken over every major media corporation. You can't get $1 from the federal government in Canada unless you follow the narrative that they're putting out. They passed that 2 months ago. All the Canadians already know this that are awake. But use this and share this for people who are sleeping as a way to wake up. So anyway, so they put this forward in August of 2021. Here it is now. They've heard their claim in court. They're going to move forward. Judge is going to rule if it goes forward for a lawsuit. But again, this is about the unconstitutional mandates and an experimental drug. Remember, the products they came out with had never gone through long-term trials. So long-term trial was done on humanity. So you can go to Action for Canada. You can see some more. By the way, it's a great resource page for anybody, I find, in any country, English speaking or whatnot, but even just to peruse there and see the information that they have and what you could do, right? They've got an incredible resource library, putting it out for free to help mankind right now, especially Canadian citizens, but also information. If you're in the United States, actually, Peggy Hall, Peggy, Hall in California, she's kind of the equivalent, and I would see in my experience, for Americans who are having this, doctors who are being fired and laid off, federal employees, anybody really. If there's a bridge on your constitutional rights of freedom, medical freedom, you name it, health freedom, any type of freedom that you have that's secured by your constitution under the corporation that you are part of the country, then check them out. So Peggy Hall, I don't have her website up here. Okay, cool. And then, also rallies and information, that you can go and get involved in Canada. Same thing here with Stand United BC, right? Be on the right side of freedom. And I just love what they've got here, and standing with the pride, stand united and strength and honor. And so for our brothers and sisters around the world from other nations, we're all souls, right? Sovereign souls having unique expression in a spiritual experience in this physical reality of life as we know it. So it's a great way to unite. And so lots of credence and great things that are going for those who have put forward these organizations and continue to do so. All right, great. So what are we going to talk about a little bit? Well, here, this is kind of going on not only just in Canada, but we're seeing it worldwide. And it's a really important issue that kind of sets the tone for what comes next, right? So as a result of that, what have we seen just in Canada? All right. In Canada, the end of, it was May 26th, 27th, going back 2.5, 3 weeks now. In 3 days, the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, grounded anybody who is unjabbed, all right, in perpetuity. They're grounded. So there was legislation that came up for over 2 years now, 22 months up to that point, 26 months up to that point in time. Anybody who had not had the jab was not able to travel on a plane, a train, or buses, both inter-province in Canada or even out, right? Well, they also changed the definition of what that means. So now you have to have that digital passport and you have to be current, right? So they put forward and said, this is ridiculous. There's the International Airline Transportation Association, you know, all the airlines belong to it, are even petitioning Ottawa and saying, just drop this ridiculousness, right? And I had a friend who is flying into Canada just a few weeks ago. He's a lead actor in a couple of films. And we were on the phone for a good bit of time. And he's like, you know, and he had just got there the night before. He goes, it's crazy because here it is. When we enter Canadian airspace, the captain comes on and says, everybody, we're now in Canadian airspace. Please put on your mask. And everybody's looking around going, are you kidding? Right. And then he said he got off the airport and he was being pestered. Please put on your mask. Like, you know, talk about ignoring the science, right? We now have over 300 published studies around the world, minimum scientific, medically backed studies that these things decrease your oxygen levels 30%. They're finding these fibers and cancerous things that are within it. And this is being enforced now, 2022, halfway into the year, right? So in 3 days, in May, Trudeau grounded those people who are don't have those products and aren't current on those products. Then he banned handguns across the board, literally said it's illegal to own it. We don't need it. Not only can you not own any weapon, you also cannot sell it or trade it with anybody. And then what he also did was legalize hard drugs, methamphetamines and fentanyl and cocaine, and started a pilot program in British Columbia to decriminalize those. That is just insane, right? And then we also have reports in Canada that Ottawa forced the Canadian banking system to sell off all their gold, so that those are the reports coming out right now, so that, well, you know, if you don't have gold-backed currency, what is the Canadian currency backed by? And that also opens another conversation for us. And we're talking about, you know, the extreme ridiculousness that's going on here, right? Absolutely ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Let's get back to the guns for a second. Now, Canada is a very peaceful country. As many of you know, I grew up there. I was trained as a Canadian peacekeeper in the infantry. I wore a uniform since I was 12 years old, you know, Royal Canadian Air Cadets and everything like that, right? So very peaceful, but hey, you know what? You tick Canadians off, they're ready to come to the charge and stand up for injustice. We've seen it in both world wars, and we've even seen it with the Freedom Convoy. That was a peaceful protest around the nation. But what happens when you take the guns of citizens of a country, right? We've seen history not be kind to those people once those policies come in. Now, first of all, let's go back to this clip, make this one viral. Here is that current Prime Minister and what he said on September 22nd, 2010 about Canadians that they should have these. I'll play this for you.
Towards registering your guns is just the first step towards taking away guns from everyone. That's never going to happen because here in Canada.
So the first step toward registering guns is the first step move toward taking it away. Let's just listen to that again, right? Because here you are 12 years later, totally different narrative. See how these corrupt politicians, pretty much all of them, flip the script? Let's go back. Listen to this again.
Is just the first step towards taking away guns from everyone. That's never going to happen because here in Canada, we have a culture that has grown up with guns and that respects the need to go out into the wilderness and shoot things from time.
Yeah, that's never going to happen in Canada. You heard that right there. Definitely make that video viral. So what happens with countries when that happens, right? What have we seen 22 times in past recent history in the last century when that has happened, right? About the gun control, remove them from society. But here you have, all these guys, Hitler, Castro, yeah, absolutely, take them away. Stalin, Mao Zedong, Muammar Gaddafi, all of these dictators, once they've removed it, what happens then? Well, now you've disarmed the populace and you can take them over, right? That's absolutely wrong. And we know that Americans are up in arms, as they should be, over the Second Amendment. In fact, in Canada, when Trudeau declared that at the end of May, that it's now illegal to sell, buy, import, and also trade your firearms, and we want you to register it and give them back, and we're doing a government buyback program. The head of the Chief Police Association of Canada came out and said, regardless if you legalize gun control and take them away, disarm our citizens, it will not prevent criminals from illegally getting firearms. And we've seen that across the board, haven't we? So there's a greater agenda at place here, right? Take away the citizens. We've seen them coming after kids. They passed that legislation in Quebec, where it can be as crazy as if in the province of Quebec, if you are not having your child wear a mask in the classroom, this is 2022. Then the province, right? Think state, right? Think communist state. The province can come and remove the child from your home, take them into their care, and you will never see your child again. This is legislation that they just pushed through. No need for bring it to a public vote, though, right? Because they're all in each other's pockets, as we've seen. Hey, speaking about Canadian, here's a perfect example. This is the face you make when the people who want you dead for not taking an experimental medical drug start begging you to give up your guns. Good old Letterkenny, fantastic, filmed in area of Ontario nearby, where part of where I grew up, and full on, well said. So whoever put this meme together is at Justy Peachy Libertarian. Thank you very much for that strong work. Let's move on. So those are the things to be mindful of, folks. Hey everybody, it's Brad here. Our show will continue in a moment, real quick. If it resonates with you, drop a like, follow us, and subscribe to the show. Hear from cutting edge guests who are experts in their field, have a lot of laughs, and discover some powerful tips on how you can thrive through 2025 in this amazing golden era of humanity. So give us a like, drop a comment, follow us right now as we fight back on the war being waged on humanity right now. And by the way, if you feel so inclined, please do share this with 9 friends, family, and colleagues as well. I'm deeply honored you're listening to this. Thank you for doing so right now, for those many of you who have taken that step. And here we go, back to our show. Do share this, like, subscribe. This is being done completely for free because I'd like to bring this awareness, right? John F. Kennedy, President JFK, what an amazing human soul and divine masculine protector and a war hero, right? It said that, the service of truth is heroism itself. So just sharing the truth to help have this conversation in these communities and wake people up. And those that are waking up have an opportunity for them to gather, community on your back porch, at your home, all the way to undertaking a massive effort in a convoy to stand up for rights and say no, united non-compliance. All right, so here we are. Let's look at what's going on in the world overall and dive into crypto. My goodness, some wild things going on over here. Now, there's a fellow by the name of James Valley. He is a attorney, used to be a former partner in a major Texas law firm. By virtue, it's funny, they actually were doing some of the patent work for Research in Motion BlackBerry when I was working at RIM BlackBerry back in the day. And so Jimmy Valley was on this show just recently called Law and Legitimacy. It's episode 077. What amazing angel number. And he's talking about Ripple, XRP, and SEC regulation. What's happened? And this is just aired a few days ago. What's happening here? Well, as he goes on to describe it and share documentations, that this was, in his words, the worst and most corrupt financial hoax of history. His words, right? This attorney. Now, what he also does is he provides and shares on this episode, and he's also got other information at his firm, Valhalla Capital in Houston. He shares that there was actually manipulated setup so that when Ripple XRP, the cryptocurrency, came out, it was shut down and it lost, millions of dollars in value. Actually, I believe it was billions in dollars in value in just a 24-hour period of time when the SEC launched a lawsuit. And as he claims to today, 541 days later, to that point of the SEC taking it over, embroiling it in legislation, and tying it up in lawsuit, he says that it's an $8.1 trillion market loss, Ripple XRP. Now, I've got one of the world's foremost experts on cryptocurrency and NFTs coming on here, a very conscious-minded person in the next 2 weeks, going to share with you a lot about what this is all about. And they're a sovereign spiritual individual themselves. And so stay tuned for that because Christoph is amazing. He can talk about that. Now, here's the thing. You may not understand cryptocurrency or NFTs yourself and trading them and owning them yet, but it is coming, right? There is digital world out there that we're moving to. So one of the things is just to have an innate understanding of the impact on your finances right now, because we can't just go along and be asleep to the lack of an impact that this will have on our economy, because there are cryptocurrencies right now that have a massive impact on the markets. We've seen primarily Bitcoin and Ethereum do so with the majors at Wall Street. And here's a chart. I'm just going to pull this up on what has happened in crypto trading. So here, look at this chart. This is just over the last several days. All right. It's from tradingview.com, published on June 14th, 2022. So yesterday, based on this recording. Okay. And what we're doing is we're looking at the exchanges and the drop of many of the cryptocurrencies. So let's just talk about, for example, DeFi. What's going on in DeFi? Okay. In the past 7 days, DeFi is down 30%. Smart contract platforms are falling 35%, and currencies and Web3 and gaming have slipped roughly 32.5%. And what's more here, right? In a market update by Caleb and Brown, they saw a sharp sell-off, and major assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum are at prices that they haven't seen in 18 months. Okay. So, one of the thing here, folks, to understand is that there is a tremendous amount of wealth that moved into cryptocurrency, and even that wealth is evaporating, right? Remember, you haven't really lost it if you haven't pulled out, right? But you have to wait for a recovery in order to make it break even when you're in there. Well, let's talk about this and give you some context that right now, the crypto market cap, I got this report last night. I'm here this morning doing the show for you. In 24 hours from Monday to Tuesday, the value of all cryptocurrency assets fell 13%. Okay, they hadn't seen that level since February 2021. That is a drop of 70% off its all-time high, all right, of approximately $3 trillion US from last November when Bitcoin was at its high of 69 grand. Okay, so what about NFTs? We've heard about NFTs and people owning these, digitized assets. We'll put it there, digital assets, right? So we're seeing NFT. It's reported that NFT trade volume has increased in the last 24 hours, 60%, implying collectors are taking advantage of decreased prices in 24 hours. The BAYC was one of the major platforms, dropped 16%, whereas MAYC is down 22%. Okay, so overall, NFT sales volume has dropped 75.22% for those who like to be analytical in 30 days. And Bored Ape, that's an app and a platform where you can get your NFTs. It went from an average of 152 Ethereum to 82 Ethereum. So at Ethereum's prices today represents a drop in price of US dollars, 180,000 to 92,000. So nearly exactly half. And I received this chart from a wonderful individual. And this is exactly what we're looking at right now, right? This is making its way around the tweet list about what's coming soon, right? Now, I've got much respect for anybody that truly becomes a wealthy sovereign and is doing great things for mankind. But, you know, kind of where we're sitting here with Bitcoin, I own Bitcoin too, right? So, you know, I'm not just chuckling at people, I've got to laugh with it. And that's what I'm talking about with levity, right? We've got love, levity to liberty. Like you got to just free yourself, shake it off a little bit and go, all right, well, this is here. Is it here to stay? Is Bitcoin getting wiped out completely? I don't see it getting wiped out completely, but there's some asset classes that are going to, for certain, out of 17,000 cryptocurrencies. How could you not, right, survive this kind of market purge? So this is on the crypto side. So yeah, it does have meaning to you even if you don't own any cryptocurrencies or NFTs or exchanging in that right now, folks. But one of the other things too is, let's take a look at the economy. Now, I had Dr. Kirk Elliott on again. We just did an amazing update, posted that interview yesterday on what is going on in the economy. So let's just take a look here at where the rates are right now for the US economy. All right. And going kind of around the world and what that does and has a meaning for you moving through for the rest of potentially the summer. We keep hearing the words that it's going to be a hot summer, so to speak. So let's get around to it and share with you my screen on, you know, the first funny meme that, again, we got to laugh it off and what's happened, right? This is sent in, you know, we're looking at the price of the pumps. It says regular premium. The guy's like, I'm just looking. You remember window shopping? You go into those stores and, you know, you're just kind of looking at a shirt. You're not sure if you want to buy it. You're just kind of, or maybe you're killing time because your spouse, you know, or your date is looking at another store. You're like, I'm going to go into here. And a salesperson approaches you like, can I help you buy something? This is a guy out of pumps. Kind of where we are right now, right? We've seen in Canada, they have just hit their all-time, they continue to shatter records on a weekly basis. And adjusted for the US dollar, it was $10 a gallon on average in Vancouver, BC yesterday. And then we've seen it, Fox News reported in the States, it was a week ago Sunday, they couldn't find anything under $8 a gallon in all of Los Angeles, in that county, right? Now we're hearing from Wall Street that there's economists at large banks that are projecting that gas could go up to, wait for it, $18 a gallon US by the end of the summer. Just insanity, right? Never in history before have we had that. And regardless of which way politically you lean, if you look at in the States where it was in 2017 and 18 and 19, when Mr. T, if I say his name here and it's on the YouTube platform, we can be deplatformed. How crazy is that, free speech, right? So when Mr. T was president, it was what, $1.87 on average per gallon. And now if you go fill up, minimum across the board in the United States, it's $5, right? $5. It's over 4 times, right? And then we've seen those gas leases canceled in Alaska by the current administration that's in the fake White House. And yeah, I said fake. Why? Because there's a studio. They've even got it out there. You've even got mainstream reporters saying all of these broadcasts are coming from a studio, like a movie set. It's crazy. So the effect that it also has is on our food supply, right? And the food prices. You had Dr. Elliott, when we were on in one of our shows, he shared, hey, listen, it's 20 to 45% more to create a produce, or sorry, to create the cost of goods in production now in 17 months ago. And that's where we are. So somebody had sent this in to me. I love it. You know, with the current situation of the meat aisles in the supermarkets, this will now be referred to as a tree chicken. So squirrels better watch out, right? But we're at those times. We are absolutely at those times, right? You've got to prepare yourself. You've got to have extra food on hand and potentially for months. We'll see. And just, again, like the military taught us, the rule of 7 Ps, proper previous planning prevents piss poor performance. right? And if you go back to the time when even I grew up, my grandparents, they all immigrated to Canada, them and their families, to flee tyranny, to flee the tyranny that is actually back again now, to flee that tyranny. What do? As farmers on Polish and Ukrainian side, always had extra stores of everything, putting things into jars, jarring vegetables, growing your own vegetables, growing your own food. This is what they did. On my mother's side, same thing with her parents, right? They had little gardens in their back. They were just outside of, they were in a suburb of Toronto, but even in their little back, they're growing tomatoes and cucumbers and whatnot, and they're jarring it and they're keeping it, and there's preserves, and there's always extras in the basement. And because we're in a society of instant gratification now, people just don't think like that. They think about the next supermarket run when they'll get everything, and they might have stuff that could take care of them for just a few days in their cupboard. For God forbid the lights went out for a week or two and you couldn't go to the stores, or there was an electric, the electric grid is off. You got to take care of yourself right there. Hey everybody, it's Brad here. Our show will continue in a moment real quick. If it resonates with you, drop a like, follow us, and subscribe to the show. Hear from cutting edge guests who are experts in their field, have a lot of laughs, and discover some powerful tips on how you can thrive through 2025 in this amazing golden era of humanity. So give us a like, drop a comment, follow us right now as we fight back on the war being waged on humanity right now. And by the way, if you feel so inclined, please do share this with 9 friends, family, and colleagues as well. I'm deeply honored you're listening to this. Thank you for doing so right now, for those many of you who have taken that step. And here we go, back to our show. Justin Bieber and his wife, right? She had a blood clot in the brain. Now he's got this kind of Ball's palsy type of syndrome, whatever it was that they had said. Well, the Irish Light is published right here in this publication that heart disease, they're seeing this in Ireland, heart disease in children has exploded since the products, right? That experimental drug that never went through its long-term trials that they forced on the world. So it says here in the subheadline, sudden deaths of children soar as media stays silent. So the Irish Light is a people-funded paper, right? They even talk about the government's coming to your home. This is issue 11. This is recently published. You can go there. And again, next week, I have an amazing humanitarian who is helping lead the charge as part of Nuremberg 2.0 for the world, really, for mankind. And she's going to come on and just share incredible information and has all of this assembled and is one of those champions leading the charge, kind of like a modern day Joan of Arc is how I call her. And I kind of want to keep her name off here so it doesn't alert the censorship platforms until the interview is ready. All right. So stay tuned for that. Fantastic. So watch out for that. So we're talking about health. All right. So again, not to be an alarmist, but if for some reason there are children, or, forced into it for whatever reason and occasion, there are ways to naturally detoxify this system. So you can go to, and I'll post a link here on the Roots site, but Trinity Pack is also known for that, created by just an incredible scientist, Dr. Christina Rahm. That will be in here in a link, so you can look for that, peruse it, use your own discernment, watch their videos, because this could potentially help. Some people reported full healing as a result of this, so it could potentially help you and get you going. All right. So the interview that went live yesterday is we talk about the economy with Dr. Kirk. Here's the thumbnail. We'll come back up on it on the website, and you go to the Rumble channel, The Sovereign Soul on Rumble. You can also watch this one. It is on YouTube as well. So we spoke about, the potential right now where the spot prices for silver bullion versus gold is trading at 85-1. And historically, what you're seeing on silver, as Dr. Elliott has shared, remember, he is a PhD economist. He did his dissertation on consumer price index and inflation. So his dissertation was on what is true inflation. And it was in 1994, 1995. He had mentioned that it was Clinton under his administration. He had changed the definition of what inflation was. For example, they took a bundle of goods, 30 goods, including, steak, put that into a basket and said, what's the price of these goods? And then what did it cost then? What does it cost now? And they figure out the inflation. All they did was Clinton signed, changed that definition of what those goods were, so steak became just, hamburger chuck meat, for example, and they recalculated. So he said inflation is actually off by 2.8%, by 2.8, a factor of 2.8. So right now, today, we're in 25% hyperinflation, according to Dr. Elliott, right? And here's that interview here. Now, there's only one investment asset, and he had done his entire 22-year analysis of what asset has outperformed the market and what asset. And he did 6 comparisons. If you've heard the interview, they're all here. You can go and you can fact check this and check it out. And we'll also get his website up here in a moment. What asset was it? It had an average 10.2% return year over year. It was silver bullion, not silver coins. And he said, the thing is, don't get coins and don't get ETFs. The reason why coins, because for today, the spot price of silver is almost $22. And he used the example. He said, if you have coins, it's actually harder to sell in the market. You have to find like a coin collector, and it's an individual one-to-one transaction instead of individual you to the market, right? Silver bullion, the demand has exploded for that actually just in the last 3 months since the SWIFT system unplugged Russia from it. And as a result of that, 2 other countries chose to decouple themselves from SWIFT. So now you have 3 billion people around the world that no longer can trade in the markets or use the US petrodollar, right? And now the Russian ruble has replaced the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. How mind-boggling is that? And in addition to that, you have 25% hyperinflation. And he said, based on that, if the market today was to actually just kind of stop and you were to recover, it could be 17 years until the market breaks even. 17 years. Think about that for a moment. So I know friends and family and loved ones who have lost 35 to 50% of their market portfolio in the last 6 to 8 months, right? Since right before Christmas. And if the market stopped crashing now, it could be with high inflation, right? Hyperinflation that we're seeing, up to 17 years just to break even. So imagine waiting that long. He goes, well, here's the thing with silver bullion. When you go and you get silver bullion, physical silver bullion, you buy that by the ounce, and you either have it shipped to your house or by the 1,000-ounce bars or the pound. You have it shipped to your house or held in a depository. If you ever want to sell it and the price goes up, it's a phone call. 45 seconds later, they wire the funds in your account that quick. So you're not dealing with coins. The other thing too is, as it's pegged to the price of gold, historically, it's 20 to 1, right? So for example, if you want to buy 1 bar of gold, you need 20 bars of silver. Well, now it's at 85 to 1. So what's going to happen when the suppression comes off the market? And we discussed that as well in the multiple interviews we've done here on the Sovereign Soul, and then also over on this channel, and the one published yesterday. Well, what's going to happen? We've seen the suppression from like big banks. JP Morgan Chase, this is in the public, was fined by the DOJ and the SEC a year and a half ago of nearly $1 billion. I think it was $954 million for manipulating the price of ETFs. So their own brokers are on the phone, and the big bank had manipulated the price and done stock market fixing. Do you think that's still going on right now? Maybe not with them, but likely on somebody else. And the thing is, on an ETF, you don't physically own it. It's just a piece of paper and it's a blip on a radar screen, but it doesn't actually tell you if you own it. And what we saw then, for the example we gave was, let's say that 5 people bought the silver ETF, right? But then all 5 wanted to sell at that point in time. Well, they would only have 1 bar of silver to back it in the ETF. So monkey see, monkey do. What's going to happen? Who gets that 1 bar to sell it in the market? And all of a sudden the price can collapse. So we've seen that has gone on. So that's why you want physical silver bullion. Pull up Dr. Kirk's site for you here, because he's also been wonderful to have his staff come aboard, talk with our people, talk with friends, and speak even to their advisors. Speak to their advisors that are financial advisors that are not able to recommend physical silver for fear of losing their job, because they will be fired for selling the client away, even if it's in the client's best interest, because they don't get a kickback. So if you go to kirkelliottphd.com, bevvie.com/soul. You can see the amazing website he has here. You can watch the video on protecting your income and retirement assets. Been doing it for 27 years. So they're very well versed. They're based in Denver, Colorado. They have clients everywhere. So you can check this out. And then also go ahead. There's, lovely picture of me in the cowboy hat there, right? Canadian cowboy. And then drop them a line, send an email to schedule an appointment, or the form. If you're on Safari or Google Chrome, the form will be here. You just fill it out. You can schedule an appointment. Just talk with them. Take care of yourself, get your questions answered. They'll send you a report on what's going on in the market. The key thing here, folks, is faith over fear, right? You've got to move forward with faith over fear. And what happens, we've heard it from Nelson Mandela, his own quote, applied knowledge is power, because the original quote was knowledge is power. Well, knowledge is great if you got a high IQ, but you do nothing. I mean, how many librarians are billionaires, right? They likely have a ton of knowledge. How many PhDs have you seen in the academic system that are mega millionaires? I know a few people in academics right now that are at that level, that have a high intelligence and a low emotional EQ, and their market portfolio is evaporating because they're stuck in fear to learn what to do and then stay in faith that there's a path. There's always a path, right? So here's what's in store coming up. Okay. So again, you can go to kirkelliottphd.com/soul. And you can schedule your appointment there. You can talk to them. You could give them a call directly. Great people, sovereign people, and cool as fuck. Yeah, I dropped that, right? Totally cool as fuck. These people are brilliant, smart, very cool. They're sovereign, which is really important, right? And open-minded. They have been really cool to actually come on to phone calls with people who have brought their financial advisors to phone calls and educate them. How cool is that, right? Because the key thing, this is a humanitarian mission, right? They are attacking us on all fronts. They're attacking us on health. They're attacking us on finances. And they know if they cripple you financially and they cripple your health, they win and you're gone, right? We've seen them say that. And they keep publishing that. Decrease the population of the world and you will own nothing and be happy. That's exactly what they say. It's all over the internet. They just had their most recent conference in that little part of Switzerland, and they reaffirm that to the world. They're literally openly saying it. So what's to come here over the next few weeks? Well, the European Central Bank has signaled it will stop its quantitative easing program, and that'll raise interest rates by 0.25% from July. All right, so interest rates are increasing. We've seen 3 of them. There's about to be another major one in the States. In fact, the US interest rate was announced by the Federal Reserve going up, not from 0.25 or 0.5% like they previously reported, now 0.75 point, 75 basis points, 0.75 of it. So now you're going to have your 4th rate hike, which has never been seen. It's literally reported that this is the biggest hike in almost 30 years since the Carter administration in the United States in 1981, I believe it was. And remember those lineups around the block, OPEC, crazy oil, right? No energy independence. And folks, as a Canadian or an Australian or New Zealand, for the world's largest economy, America, what happens there, it has a ripple effect around the world. So nobody is immune to this. We're seeing it. And that the price of oils continue rising, reaching approximately $122 a gallon, or excuse me, a barrel. Now, there is a forecast, I believe it was the chief economist at Morgan Stanley, that said that they anticipate $184 a barrel by August. And there's other folks and done a remote views on this that go up to $200+ price per barrel. So yeah, that is real possibly going to happen, that you have $18 a gallon gas. It's just crippling, right? I know people that are working under the Directors Guild of Canada, and they're making their $22, $24 Canadian an hour, right? And they can't afford to put they can't afford gas to drive to set, right? They haven't brought that up. So you're seeing it hit everywhere, everyone's bank account. And the US 10-year Treasury note as of today has breached the 3% level. It's currently trading at 3.375%. Folks, that may not sound large to you. That's a 10% increase on the yield, and it's the highest that you've seen in nearly 3 years. Now, what's important is it's significant for investors and borrowers, all right, who face the highest rates on debt, and even the movement of funds from high risk stocks to low risk bonds. Now, bonds are friggin' risky. It's funny that they report this because there's an inverse relationship. Many of you know I did a major in economics and minored in U.S. political science at university in Canada, right? And an inverse relationship is simply a teeter-totter. What goes up, one thing goes up, one thing comes down. So as interest rates go up, bonds go down. Bonds are, if you got 25% hyperinflation, you've got these interest rates like this, bonds are through the floor. So there's no such thing as a low risk bonds. Bonds are toxic. Pretty much all the stocks are toxic, right? And you're seeing crypto is toxic. If you're somebody on the sidelines with a bunch of cash, might as well wait. Now, we've also heard one of the experts has said that that they anticipate the stock market to crash another 80%, roughly 80% more of crash. So it's dropping like a rock. So at least take care of yourself. Just get informed, have conversations with people. Whether you do it with Dr. Elliott, you have it internally with some other folks. That's kind of where we are in this, right? But things, tangible items, commodities, like Elon Musk said, when he was interviewed in TED Vancouver just a few weeks ago, they said, what do people do today as a richest man in the world? What do you recommend people do in a recessionary period? And he goes, well, buy things, property and things that you can hold on to. Gold, silver, precious metals you can hold on to, right? You've got to get the physical things. And out of that, that's why Dr. Kirk is saying on our most recent episode, and we've been showing the data all the way through, is that silver is poised for a 5 times growth jump. Now, even if you get double, that's way better over the next few months or this year than we're seeing in the market, right? And silver has pretty much been holding on to its spot price over the last few months, fluctuated up and down $1 or so here and there, but nothing like the rates that we've seen from cryptos and the stock markets globally. And by the way, all the European countries are buying precious metals by the trainload right now. Why? Right? Well, one of the reasons is, even though there's that thing going on in Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Russia is responsible for virtually all of the natural gas and electricity supply for Europe. It's the primary, it's number one, right? It's that big bear. And that opportunity is either you allow your countries to continue to operate and you have your citizens have petrol, diesel, gas, natural gas, right? Energy for other countries from Spain to Portugal to Scotland, all the way down to Italy, right? They need to get that from somewhere. And so what they've been forced to do is buy, not forced, right? Because it was Russia that was forced off SWIFT by the international banks on March 22nd. So they went, great, fine. We hold the largest supply of gold. We are going to require you now to either buy gold from and silver from us or buy in rubles. Now, in the SWIFT banking system, now we're giving you a little history here, a little longer. On the SWIFT banking system, you cannot trade that. So you have to have an intermediary, as Dr. Elliott was describing. You have to have an intermediary. So you can't just go from Canadian dollars to rubles overnight. They're no longer on that system, right? You have to go to another country or another broker in a conduit, pay a fee, transfer that, or go and buy the gold and silver from there and then trade that. So you, as your country, your central bank, is able to trade that and get energy from Russia. And that's where we are, folks. That's just the reality that we're in today. Like I said, regardless of your politics, this is what's going on today. Take care of yourself. And thank you very much for joining us on this. I'm aiming to do a daily update as we go forward. I've got multiple guests that are scheduled. We actually have several guest interviews that are going into post-production just over the last week, still need to get out there. So there's a lot that we'll be keeping up on. So do like, subscribe, share, enable the notifications. If you're on Rumble, if you're on YouTube, enable the notifications so you won't miss this, because wow, things are changing nearly by the day. And it's important to stay up, right? And provide some love, levity. If you've got cool memes, please send them in to us. You know how to get a hold of us. If you like any of these memes or any of this information, please drop us a line, drop us a comment. This is, again, done 100% for free, just part of my way. Like JFK said, being in service of truth is the ultimate heroism. So just trying to add some more truth out there and help awaken people, and at the same point in time, help those that are awakened lead a more smoother life and create more abundance and prosperity in all areas of their life with this information. I'm Brad Wozni, the Sovereign Soul, from myself, from the team here, and then the Bling Buddha. Have yourself a wonderful day. We'll be back. All the best, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate you. Much love. Namaste. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9 mil, let us know.